Yeah, so Vocalink, we're a now global payments provider, so we basically run the national infrastructure for UK payments. So you may have heard of BACS, faster payments, and then moving into things like PayM and ZAP, or Pay by Bank app, which is a new thing coming out. So we basically run the infrastructure behind the UK payments, and my role is Senior L&D Advisor. So really I look after learning and development across the whole business. So whether that be through formal learning, workshops or e-learning courses that we run, or the more informal and social side, so connecting people with each other, mentoring, coaching, informal briefings and that side as well. What we used to have in place at Vocalink was a complex network of different systems using spreadsheets and very manual processes. I've worked with learning management systems in the past, and what we wanted to do was bring something together to act as a central hub for formal learning at Vocalink. So something that learners knew they could just go to and search and access learning, as well as recording all learning and providing us the reporting that we needed, as well as acting as a booking and resource hub as well. So people could just go to one place, know where to look, and then get their learning and record it all from there. So we have always blended learning. Since I've been here, we had a previous e-learning provider, and we kind of used their built-in learning management system. But I think it's fair to say it was fairly difficult to search by, difficult to actually record or get any real reporting out of it, and it wasn't very visually appealing either. So that's what we used to do with e-learning, and we used to deliver a lot of workshop courses that were booked and managed effectively through SharePoint and spreadsheets, and then a lot of manual recording and putting all that through. Really what we needed was one system that could manage our classroom booking, launch our e-learning, and then enable people to go back, look at what they'd done, and have it all in one place. So we were looking for something that would enable us to do that, as well as offer any additional functionality, so things like stringing things together, putting training plans in place for our regulatory training, and being able to actually prove what people have been doing. When we were looking for a new LMS provider, really there were three main things we were looking for. So one was the ability to tailor the system and functionality to what we needed. We weren't looking for something that would have sort of loads of bells and whistles. We've got an internal social intranet. We've got other systems that do some of the stuff some of the big providers were really looking at. So we wanted something we could tailor to our needs. Two, we wanted a provider we were comfortable working with, that we knew we could have good conversations with, and a good level of service. And three, really looking for a provider that could integrate with our third-party solutions. So from our HR systems to automatically bring information in every night with the updates we do, and also external e-learning providers, so we could pull in other content as well. So the benefits we really wanted to achieve were to enable people to quickly and easily access learning when they needed it, so just in time. The systems we used to have didn't really enable that. They weren't particularly easy to use, so we were looking for something that would be fairly intuitive for people with very limited kind of training or resources behind it to actually get in and use. We also needed something to prove our regulatory training. So something that we could easily pull reporting, see who had and hadn't completed, and then report down into their department, their division, their area, their team, so we could actually push that out to managers and show that it was in place. But what we really wanted to do is get people taking ownership of their own learning as well. It used to be quite a hand-holding sort of culture here with learning, and people wanting learning sort of pushed at them. So we wanted a system that we could implement that would enable people to just pull learning when and where they needed it and access it through that. So we worked our way down to a short list, I think, of 3 providers. And we then had each provider come in and show us through the system, as well as having conversations with the people who would be involved in helping us implement the system. We didn't go with the other providers really because we felt we would be a very small part of their sort of wider portfolio, and felt we probably wouldn't get the kind of client service and support that we would need throughout it. And also the actual being able to customise the system and being able to use it, and we didn't think it always offered it. We were quite locked down with what we had to do, and a lot of our systems, because of the nature of our industry, are very security conscious. We can't change a whole lot of things, so we needed something that could work with what we already had. So we chose Digits because of the system really itself and the people that we were going to work with. So the system being very customisable, we could use all our own branding, have our own views and looks on it, as well as integrating with our other providers, so our HR system and also our external e-learning provider. But also that it was quite intuitive and easy to use, not just from the administration side, so the back end, but also for users actually being able to get in and access the learning that they needed, as well as managers looking in and looking at reporting. The actual reporting was a really big part of it as well, and we've seen massive benefits from that, being able to prove very quickly to auditors or managers or individuals what they've been going through, what people have been doing, and then what they've taken out from behind that. So it was also the team that we were working with during the whole implementation phase, and since, as we've wanted to move and change things and make adaptations, it's been very easy and very open, as well as the actual support when we need a hand doing something or changing something or working out how something works. It's always been on hand, very, very easy to set up and clear sort of instructions of how to do things. We had quite a tight deadline for the implementation. We wanted to get it in place for our half-year reviews, when people's focus is really on their learning, so that they could access the system, align things to their personal development plan, and really see what we had available from there. So it did go through relatively quickly, and we worked with Digits really closely to get that in place. Since then, we've iterated the system quite a lot, and that's been really key in finding out bits of functionality that we think we can use and can be effective, and the team have been really good in putting that in place. So from end to end, the implementation probably took around 5 to 6 months, but since then it's just been ongoing. The issues we had during implementation were mainly to do with integrating with our third-party providers. Our HR system, the feed from that, and fitting that in, implementing it and getting it running smoothly on a nightly basis, took quite some work. Liaising between ourselves, Digits and our HR system provider as well can sometimes prove challenging, but I think we've overcome a lot of that, and it's now working really well. The other one was integrating with our e-learning provider too, and actually getting the courseware across easily accessible without errors on multiple different platforms. We've got a few different browsers that we use that we can't update due to other systems that we use internally. So being able to use the system across multiple different browsers can sometimes be an issue, but we've again worked with Digits really closely to overcome that, and tweaking the system to get it working as well as it can. One of the features we use most is training plans, and that's been really useful, especially with our regulatory training that we have to do on a yearly basis. So we can very easily assign courses into a training plan and then assign that out to users by groups or across the whole company for them to use within then a set timeline. We can then very easily report on that which has enabled us to prove compliance to various auditors and government bodies that we need to, as well as chase up people who haven't done it and very, very clearly show who has and hasn't completed their mandatory training. Another feature that we use a lot in the system is the deep links. So that's where we can just provide a link to people and it will take them directly into that course in the system. So we use that a lot in conjunction with any internal workshops that we're running. So we can send out links to supporting e-learning courses and people can very easily access them without having to search for them on themselves in the system. Or we can also integrate it with our internal enterprise social network, our intranet, where again we can post course of the week, course of the month, post a link to it, and people can very easily, very quickly access that exact course. That's really helpful when we've got conversations going on within our ESN and within our intranet that people are saying, you know, they need development in a particular area, and we can point them to the exact course that they need at that time. One of the key programs we're working on at the moment is really putting together development programs and packages for our people management community. And we're doing that through a real blended approach that the LMS is really helping us with. So what we're doing is putting together a package of e-learning courses, workshops and supporting resources that we can get our people managers to work through across key topics that we and our people believe they need to be competent in. So the Journeys feature in the LMS is really helping us put that together in a visual way. Learners can see as they're working through a journey what they're going to be doing, what they've still got to go, and work their way through it. And we can then put all those journeys together into a wider training plan. So again, we can monitor across our management community who's doing what, when they're doing it, and what people have still got to do. We've seen a big take-up in actual usage of our, especially e-learning courses. So we've seen 4 times more users actually accessing and using our e-learning courses since we've implemented the system, and an actual 9 times increase in the amount of courses that have been accessed. So while that's just looking at amount of courses accessed, that then correlates with learning that people are actually taking on board and hopefully then having an impact from it. Another main business impact that we've really seen is being able to prove the learning that people are going through. As we have various audits and work towards Investors in People accreditation, we really need to show what people are doing and when they're accessing it. And through the system we've been able to prove that very, very easily through the standard reporting in there, as well as custom reporting that the team have been able to build for us. One of the main benefits we've seen with the system is easing the administration burden on the learning and development team. So we've got a very small team here for the number of people that we actually support, and by putting the LMS into place we've really been able to smooth a lot of the processes that used to be very manual. So from adding new workshops and new schedules so that people can book onto them, to then providing the actual class lists, recording attendance and ensuring that people get their calendar invites, their reminders, their joining instructions is all really seamless through the LMS and all automated, so meaning we're not having to go in and do all those processes manually. That's meant that we can spend a lot more time actually working with the business and adding value where we can through more performance consultancy, rather than spending time sitting behind systems, behind our computer, actioning processes. We mainly use informal methods to actually assess performance and success of things. So we are currently Investors in People Gold accredited, and we're going through re-accreditation. And through the focus groups and conversations that we run through that process, that's a real marker for us as to how people are doing, what they're learning and what they're able to access. Similarly, best companies, when we run that survey and again focus groups around that area, we can really see the shift that people are seeing, feeling and hearing in their ability to access and learn, and then the impact that has on their roles. We also run a lot of focus groups just across the business on various areas, and something that keeps coming up is the actual improvement in learning and development across the business, and I think the LMS has been a key part in that. One of the key returns on investment that we've seen from implementing the LMS alongside focusing our e-learning library is that we've massively reduced the amount of courses we had available in our e-learning library, but focused them to what people actually need. And that's seen take up absolutely rocket. There's 9 times more courses accessed, with 4 times more people accessing those courses, just by focusing them, and I believe making them easier to access, easier to search through the functionality that the LMS has. A major improvement we've seen in our service as an L&D department to our customers out in the wider business is that we've got one place that we can direct people to for their formal learning. So one link, send them to one system that they can seamlessly access with single sign-on. It's all branded as we need it, it's intuitive to use, and people can just immediately access and search for the learning that they need. They can launch it straight away and then come back to it when they need as well. The best thing about working with Digits has been their adaptability and responsiveness. So we've wanted to make a lot of tweaks to the system since we put it in to really match the direction we're going in and the way we work as a business. And they've always been open to doing that and then guiding us through the features of the system, and especially helping me with being able to put different things in place and really help our learners access things in a better way. The overall experience with Digits has been a really positive one. Since we implemented this system, we've seen a massive take-up in learning and people being able to access what they need from one place. But it's also just been a really good experience actually speaking to and dealing with various people across the Digits team who have really helped us to make the most of the system, which helps our business thrive in the end through the learning that people are able to do. The advice I would offer to someone implementing a solution like our LMS would be to really have a clear idea of what you're looking for and what you want up front, and then work towards that. So while you need to be flexible and adaptable to how things work throughout, have a real set criteria of what you're looking for and what works for your business, and then work towards that.
Get in contact with us to find out how we can make learning brilliantly simple for you and your organisation.